Hey everybody, it's Damien from Guitar Journey here, and today we're going to learn 3 ways to really add some variety, really spice up your blues playing. You know, jamming blues with other musicians, whether those other musicians happen to be other guitarists, or maybe they play a different instrument, or they're a vocalist, or whatever, it is one of the most fun and one of the most rewarding things we can do as guitarists. The only issue about playing blues sequences is that the sequences themselves tend to be a little bit simple. Sometimes just, 3 different chords over the course of 12 measures, and then you repeat those 12 measures over and over. So if we're not careful, as much fun as it is playing blues, it can start to get just a little bit monotonous at times. Today we're going to talk about a few ways to make things much more interesting while still staying true to the spirit of the blues, okay? So let's get right to it. For our first idea, we've got to lay just a tiny bit of a foundation, okay? Very often in a 12-bar blues, 12-measure blues sequence, we're going to play 3 different chords. And we're going to call those chords, those 3 different chords, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. And all that means is that for whatever key we're in, whatever key we happen to be in, we can number the notes of that key. And then we build a chord off each of these notes. No big deals. Let's say we're in the key of D, okay? D. Then, well, of course, D is going to be our 1. What else would be our 1? So D is going to be our 1. And if we count up from there, D, E, F, technically it's F sharp, but that's not important right now, D, E, F, G. Well, G is the 4th one, where D is the first one, so G is going to be what we call our 4 chord. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, D, E, F, G, A. A is going to be our 5 chord. D is 1, G is 4, A is 5, if we happen to be in the key of D. And when we're jamming these chords, very often we can just play simple major triads, D major, A major, G major. We can also play a dominant 7 chord, D7, G7, A7, that kind of thing. Structure of the blues, very quickly, usually the first 4 measures, and again, there's a million exceptions, but the first 4 measures very often will be the 1 chord, okay? So the first 4 measures are going to be the 1 chord. Measures 5 and 6, you get the 4 chord. And then measures 7 and 8, we return to the 1 chord. So relating this to D major, blues in D, the first 4 measures are going to be that D chord. Then measures 5 and 6, we said those are the 4 chords, so that's going to be our G or our G7 chord. Measures 7 and 8, we return to the 1 chord, so that's back to our D chord, right? Last 4 measures, 9 through 12, very often go 5, 4, 1, 5, 1 chord per each measure. 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? But there are a million variations here. But keeping with that, the last 4 measures in the key of D are going to go A, G, D, A. Or if you like, A7, G7, D7, A7, okay? That's the basic foundation, okay? So with that super quick foundation in place, the first idea, I'm really surprised more players don't do this, we can actually play both the major pentatonic and the minor pentatonic scale when we're soloing. Most players, I think it's fair to say, use only the minor pentatonic scale, and there's nothing wrong with that. Minor pentatonic is an awesome scale. It's incredibly useful. But sometimes in a blues sequence, it can be really nice to sprinkle in some major pentatonic as well. Now, to be clear, there's no magic formula about, when to play major, when to play minor, but one approach is to play the major pentatonic over the 1 chord, and then the minor pentatonic pretty much over everything else, So in our blues in D, measures 1 through 4, which are our D chord, we can go major pentatonic. Measures 5 and 6, which are our G or our G7 chord, we can go minor pentatonic. Okay, measures 7 and 8, back to the D major, the 1 chord, right? So we're going to go major pentatonic again if we want to. And then the final line where it goes 5, 4, 1, 5, A, G, D, A, maybe we'll go minor pentatonic through all of that, okay? Let's give a listen to that, okay? I'm going to play over a simple blues progression in D, and you're going to notice I'm playing both the minor pentatonic and the major pentatonic. So I think going back and forth between the major pentatonic and the minor pentatonic added some nice flavor. Okay, give it a shot, see what you think. Keeping things going, how about another idea? Remember earlier we said that typically the chords that we're going to play are going to be either like a major triad or a dominant 7 chord. We actually can play blues with minor chords, and that creates a really nice sound. So just for this example, let's switch keys. Let's think about the key of A minor. Super easy key because the notes in A minor are just A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No notes are sharp, no notes are flatted. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Well, of course, if we're in A minor, our 1 chord is going to be the A minor chord. Our 4 chord, A, B, C, D, is going to be a D minor chord. The 5 chord, A, B, C, D, E. So it can be either, this is a little weird, but trust me, either E minor or E major or E7. They all work. Honestly, they all work. Also in a minor key blues, we might be inclined to throw in some other chords as well, but don't worry about that right now. That's a whole other subject for a whole other video, okay? For now, just say to yourself that you can do really well and create a really cool sound with just blues in A. So A minor, D minor, and either E minor or E major or E7, okay? I want you to listen to this vibe, okay? Here's a minor key blues in A. Definitely a cool sound, kind of moody, you know, sets a certain tone. Now, full disclosure, for that backing track, I did throw a few extra chords in there, but again, please don't worry about that for now. Your basic 1, 4, 5, in this case, A minor, D minor, E minor, or E major, or E7, they sound just great, okay? One last idea. For this last idea, what I'm going to suggest to you is that even though we might be playing in a 3-chord structure, the chords themselves don't have to be boring. So let's step away from the minor blues that we were doing a moment ago, and let's go back to a more typical blues where, remember, we're doing either a major triad or some kind of a dominant 7 chord, right? And let's say we're in the key of G. So G is 1, G, A, B, C is going to be 4, and G, A, B, C, D is going to be 5. Okay, my 1, 4, 5 will be G, C, and D. But the fact is, I don't have to just play G or G7, C or, you know, down here in open position. I can play these chords all over the neck. I mean, I've got a G7 chord here. I've got one right here. Here's one right here. I can do a C7 here. Here's a C7. Or I can just do like the 3-string shape there, maybe a D7. Well, of course I got the open one, but I got this one. This is a nice D7, D7, that kind of thing, okay? There's tons of places on the neck to shape these chords. And in addition, not only can I find these 7 chords, G7, C7, D7, whatever, all over the neck, but I can add extra notes to the chord to give it kind of a cooler sound. Now, this is a very deep topic. Getting into these deeper, more extended chords is very, very deep. I'm going to keep it pretty simple and straightforward for now. In our 12-bar blues in G, we're going to be playing in G, G7, C7, D7, etc. Maybe we'll also play what's called a G9. I like to do it right here, the 4-string shape. Kind of a nice, we could do G7 sharp 9 up here maybe, or down here. I got a C9 right here. I got a C9 right here as well. I can do a D7 sharp 9 like that. And that's going to give me a certain amount of flavor, a certain amount of color. When I put these different chords into play, even a simple 12-bar blues in G becomes a lot of fun, not only to solo over, but also to play rhythm guitar on. And just a very quick aside, that's something I personally feel very strongly about. You should put as much work into being a good rhythm player as you do into being a good lead player. And if you do that, you may very well hit a point where you actually find playing rhythm guitar to be every bit as much fun as playing lead. And that's a nice place to be. So I'm going to play over a simple blues in G, a slow blues in G, and I'm going to try to work in some of those extra kind of voicings, extra shapes that you just saw me demonstrate. Here we go. Definitely a lot of fun to play around with all those different shapes. Now hopefully at this point you're getting a clear picture that even in a pretty simple structure, there's a ton of interesting things we can do. And honestly, we just scratched the surface today. There's so much more you can do, even in a fairly simple blues context. You can improvise using different modes or synthetic scales, what are sometimes called jazz scales. You can incorporate tons of different chord substitutions. You can use a lot of low note, bass note runs between your chords to provide a sense of motion. It really is just endless. So for today, take these three ideas, work with them, and I honestly think you're going to find that even a simple 12-bar structure can be just endlessly interesting and a lot of fun. Okay, so have some fun with today's ideas and maybe do a little experimenting of your own. That's a great place for us to end today. As always, please hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe to the Guitar Journey YouTube channel, okay? We got a ton of content here. There's a ton more content on the way. We're adding new stuff all the time. I would love to have you along for this amazing guitar journey. And also, if you don't mind, please leave me a comment. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you feel like I've left something out. Today I left a lot of stuff out. We talked about that. I just scratched the surface today. But also maybe you want to share another cool idea that everyone can benefit from seeing, okay? We truly are building a community here, and I really believe that we can all learn from one another, okay? So definitely leave a comment, all right? Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.